Hi guys, it's reaction time. We've got going back a little bit, only to last year though. So you guys know I either go with new music, which is the main thing this channel's all about, trying to get bands out there that are new. Sometimes I go way back to stuff that I may have missed, maybe through those dark years of rock and metal, through the 90s, late 90s, maybe 2000s as well. But this time I'm going back to last year. So Paul Anderson, my mate Paul, is a subscriber for a long time to the channel, speak to him as well. We video call each other. He said to me, this band are absolutely fantastic. They're called Chaotic Resemblance. And the Fairest Jesus is the name of the song. So you might have guessed from that title, they're a Christian rock stroke metal band. And guys, I cover a lot of Christian stuff on this. If it's great, it's great. I've got no, qualms just because they're Christian of not covering them on this channel. I think there's some great Christian music and there's some bad Christian music. There's some great secular music. There's some bad secular music. So, I take no sides or anything like that just because of lyrics. So Fairest Jesus is the name of this song. Paul says they're fantastic. I was reading a little thing about them. I'm hoping I get the band names right because it's quite hard to track down who's in the band now and who isn't. But if the band watch this, perhaps they can tell me, or any of you guys who are Chaotic Resemblance fans. You've got Travis McConnell on the vocals, L.A. Ellis on the lead guitar, Donnie Six on the bass, and James Stockhammer on the drums. Well, they're definitely influenced by that, just in the names alone of this band. I don't think that'd be their real names, will it? LA and Six, with a double X, by the way. So obviously highly influenced by that glam, metal period. And when you read up about them, it says, they're influenced by Rat, Skid Row. It does mention Striper as well, amongst loads of other bands. And talking about Striper as well, Oz Fox has had some involvement in this band. I think Paul was saying he had something to do with the Kickstarter campaign, one of their albums, and I think he's produced one. So he's had involvement anyway. So, this come off their album Nazarites. I think that's how you pronounce it. And this band have been on tour with loads of different bands, Christian and non-Christian as well. Y&T, Striper, White Cross, LA Guns, Stephen Pearcy of Rat, Mike Tramp of White Lion, Bloodgood. So a good mixture, getting their name out there. Because like I said, if the music's good, man, it's good. Do you know what I mean? And I love some of the Christian music that's out. Look at this band here, Fear Not. What an absolutely banger of an album they brought out last year. Made it into my top albums of the year. Just an amazing band, along with Striper, obviously, the obvious ones. Striper are fantastic. I used to love Shout in the 80s. One of my favourite bands, Shout, were. And like I said, there's some great Christian music coming through the ranks now. You got the Brave. It's just it's a wash with great music. And like I said, there's some bad ones as well. But ain't that with all music? I don't cover every bit of music on this channel, rock and metal, because it ain't all great, is it? Let's face facts. So hopefully this will be, though. This is Chaotic Resemblance, and the song's called Fairest Jesus. Here we go.
My beloved is chief among 10,000. Yes, he's altogether lovely. This is my beloved. This is my friend. It was a dark night. I fell asleep. Should have waited for him. My flesh was weak, but even when I sleep, my heart is awake. I am undone, love sick, yeah. Love sick, yeah. They ask, what does he have more than others? What makes this different than other religions? What does he have more than others? I say, chief among 10,000, 'cause he's altogether lovely. 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 He's altoget
Wow, man. I mean, man, one thing about this, it sounds really, although it touches upon those, you know, influences that I've spoken about already, which they said they're influenced by, Skid Row, Rat, all those sort of influences, and Striper. Yeah, they've got those similarities. They've got those influences, but man, they sound so fresh. They sound exciting. The song structure itself as more of a Skid Row, Slave to the Grind era structure. You know, that sort of where they almost an epic feel that they had on that album. But also they've got, you know, you would never say this sounds exactly like Skid Row. They've got their own twist on it, and the acoustic guitar, starting with the acoustic guitar, the vocalist is great, and he's got a real sort of distinctive sound to his voice. I don't think there's anyone I can think of that sounds like him. And that's always a bonus for me. Always, man. If you know, there's some Bruce Dickinson sound-alikes out there. There's like millions of them. You know, Jeff Tate's one and all. There's so many vocalists, you know, that not imitate him, but have got a voice like Jeff Tate. I don't know anyone. I wouldn't say this guy is, you know, copying anyone or anything like that, or trying to imitate anyone. He's got his own distinctive voice, which is fantastic. I love the structure of the song. I love the songwriting, the way it started out in that sort of slow acoustic part, then bursted into it. The way it hit you with, I think it's saying Yahweh, aren't they? Which is, although they're pronouncing it a little bit different, which is also the name of the Striper song, which obviously has got references to the Bible. I don't know the story behind it, but that's obviously, you know, I think that's what they're saying during that amazing chorus, man. That is just like a soaring chorus. You can imagine this live as well. You can imagine it being a right, you know, proper favourite for the live situation. You know, you imagine the old fist pumping in that one. I mean, man, it sounds absolutely brilliant. Love everything about it. The twists and turns, the originality, but still touching upon those influences that we love, but having their own thing as well. An amazing band by the sounds of it. Remember, this album's out already as well, so if you've missed this band, you can go back and listen to more. But I'm looking now for something that doesn't sound the same as everything else, and I think that's what this band have got. They sound different, they really do. And you know, I just think, you know, it's a shame sometimes, because people will be, you know, people into rock and metal and not Christian music will probably turn away from stuff like this, but they'd be probably put off by lyrics and stuff like that. I've never been that way. If I love it, I love it. And, you know, probably listening to Striper way back in the mid-80s and stuff, being one of my favourite bands, you know, it's probably in England as well. It was a little bit different because, you know, in England we've never been, you know, the Christian faith has never been like it has in America, where it's so, you know, such a followed by millions. Obviously, it hasn't never been like that in England. It's different over here. So, you know, to hear, when I first heard Striper and, you know, singing about Jesus and that, and I was like, yeah, all right, okay, it sounds good. But also it took a bit of time to get used to it. And obviously now, after years of listening to Striper and all those other bands I've been talking about, it doesn't faze me at all. I understand that people lyrically really latch onto this because of the Christian lyrics. For me, the music's great. That's all I really care about. I really do. And the thing is, it might be because I also am not there's a lot of channels on YouTube that dive deep into lyrics as well. So I'm not one of those people. I understand that lyrics is one of the hardest things to write as a musician, as a songwriter. You know, it's got to be clever lyrics and stuff like that. But I've never been one of those people. So, you know, whether a band singing about sex, drugs, rock and roll, whether they're singing about Jesus, whether they're singing about the devil, I'm not on whatever. It sounds good, and that's it. So that's just the way I am. That's just, you know, the way I listen to music. So that's why I think I latch onto some bands like this, and some people can't deal with it. you know, but, you know, they miss out, man. They miss out. They really do. So here goes for the rest. Can't wait to hear the rest because I really don't know where it's going to go, which is a really good thing. It's not following the usual path for me as, you know, verse, chorus, bridge to the solo. It doesn't sound like that sort of song, which makes it exciting for me. So here we go for the rest.
What does he have more than others? What makes us different than all the religions? What does he have more than others? And I say, chief among 10,000, Lord of all creation, the lion pulled the
Exciting song, man. The energy the band give over in the studio, you know what I mean? I know the videos with it as well, so that sort of pumps up the energy a little bit more, but they sound, you know, there's not many bands that can capture that energy in the studio. It takes some doing. And usually the way it takes some doing, I think a lot of the energy gets sapped out of music these days because a lot of the time the bands don't even meet up, you know? A guitarist, a drummer will do his bits or something, pass it on to the guitarist in another part of the world. Then it'll go to another part of the world for the, you know, the vocals. And I think they're obviously a band because they've been touring, as you know. So it's good that they're obviously in the studio together, which I hope they are, you know, unless they're different parts of America, of course, but they sound like they're in the studio, almost like a live feel, and you only get that when you're together, really. You really do. I mean, look at Queensryche's album, the last one, probably the best one since in a long time album. That was from the songwriting was, you know, together, and I think the studio part was together, and it shows as a band. Do you know what I mean? So, man, I love that. No guitar solo, and it didn't matter. And it almost, for me, I was thinking as well, as the song went on and on, I was thinking this definitely has that, you know, you can imagine this early 90s, you know, not so much. I know they're influenced by all those 80s bands as well, but almost has an early 90s feel to me as well. And the best bands coming out of the early 90s. I know it's a difficult time for rock and metal, but it's got that feel for me, you know, that it's a different period of time, but bringing over those influence from the 80s into the early 90s. It almost feels like that as well. Man, that was great. Thanks, Paul, for suggesting that. Chaotic Resemblance. That's a must get for sure. If you haven't heard that band, let me know what you think in the comments below. Fairest Jesus. I'll see you soon.